Good morning, Doug Levi, Strategic Insurance Services. Hope everybody's doing great out there. I wanted to do a video on the DISC personality assessment. And we talked about this at our new advisor training. We're going to keep the video probably to 7 minutes or less, but I really wanted to talk about it in terms of how this can help you in your sales career and also in your communication in general. So first thing, I'm not affiliated with any of these sites. I don't get anything, but this is a site I've used in the past. This DISCpersonalitytesting.com. They have a free assessment, okay? You can see a ton of stuff on DISC out there. Again, if you Google DISC, you'll see a ton. High level, really what this is it's a way to understand your communication style and how you interact with others, right? And it's really important that as you're in sales and you're interacting with people, you make a conscientious effort to communicate with them how they want to be communicated with. So one of the things that I'll pull up now for the video is, first off, if we look and we say, what does the DISC stand for? Okay, so if we pull up, and I'm going to pull up another one here. The DISC, the DISC stands for, the D is typically your dominant or your driver. Okay, I'll pull this over here. They tend to be on the fast-paced end of the scale. You'll see they're very dominant, direct, results-oriented, firm, strong-willed, forceful. Your I stands for your influencer, more of your outgoing, enthusiastic, optimistic, high-spirited, more of your sales personality. Your C is more of your conscientious. That's what the C stands for. Analytical, reserved, precise, systematic, private. The S is more of a steady, more of typically thought of as a support role or support person, patient, even-tempered, accommodating, tactful. Again, it's never to say that if you're an S or a D or an I or a C, one's good, bad, the other. We're all a combination, frankly, of all of these a little bit. Now, some are higher than others. But what's important is you start talking with people, you're going to start to see patterns emerge and how their personality is, right? So me, for example, I tend to be a very high D, high I, right? So kind of fast, make quick decisions, love people. If we were to just keep it very simple. I'm not as big on the S and the C. Those aren't as high on my personality, right? That's your more analytical, your more support role. Again, doesn't make it good or bad. But if you're dealing with me from a sales perspective, that's going to be a big clue in terms of how you're going to interact with me as opposed to how you would interact with someone that's an S or a C. Okay? So again, for purposes right now of really drilling down and understanding, well, how specifically am I going to help work with and sell to these people? I'm going to pull this screen up here. Okay, and again, there's no shortage of this info online. You can find it pretty easily. This is just a quick video to kind of wet your whistle, give you a little bit of insight, hopefully put a few things together for you, and then you can certainly do some more with it. If you'd like on your own, or if you've got questions, feel free to reach out. But this talks about the buying decisions with the DISC, right? And so we've got the DISC. Again, remember, more of your dominant / driver. I is more your influencer / outgoing. S is more your steady / support. C is more of your conscientious / analytical. Okay? So if you're working with someone and they do happen to be a D, in terms of the sales, they want the process to be quick. They want to be independent. They want only the essential facts, exposure on the big picture, and the risk taker. Again, a lot of times business owners fall into this category. Military, think about military people. Executives, a lot of times those are going to fall into that category, right? So if you're dealing with them, it's kind of, let's cut to the chase, short and sweet, and to the point. You don't want to go on this exhaustive conversation that they may not be interested in. Now, for what it's worth, when you're dealing with the I, that happens to be more relationship driven, more people focused, they enjoy the chit chat, right? I think of people like at my parents' condo association. They spend hours down at the mailbox just talking. Okay, that's fine. I mean, there's lots of people fall into that category. But again, this is someone who also is thinking about the popular decision. I think that's an interesting thing. They may ask you a question and say, well, what do other people do? Have you ever asked that question yourself? Have you ever done that when you're buying something or you're trying to make a decision? What do other people do? Then you're probably more of an I. Again, that's something that's not uncommon for me. I was sharing in our meeting this morning. We're doing some work on our pool. I don't know a ton about pools. We need to do some resurfacing, getting some bids, talking to our pool guy and asking, hey, tell me, what do most people do? Okay? People focused. They don't need a lot of information to make the decision. They overall tend to be optimistic. They're feelings based at times, and they can be impulsive and quick. Okay? Again, you kind of see on here a speed level, right? And if we look back to what we talked about originally, the D and the I tend to be a little bit more fast-paced, people-oriented, where the S and the C's tend to be a little more moderate or more cautious and more fact-driven, not as likely to be influenced on, well, what did my neighbor pick? Okay? So again, if we go to the S, they want to double-check things. Have you ever heard this before? We talked in our sales training today. Let me double-check with my spouse and I'll get back to you. They're going to consider people very closely to them. Obviously, those two go together. Okay? They're going to be more cautious and slow, and they're more guided by not wanting to disappoint others. That really falls into that support role as well. Okay? So you're dealing with someone like that. That could be someone, perhaps a nurse or a service industry person. There's lots that fall into that category, and none of this is good or bad. Doesn't mean any of it's one or the other, but just how you're going to interact with them, how you're going to talk to them. They may need a little more reassuring. They may need a little bit more follow-up, where more of the D is like, okay, they get a quote over the phone and they're ready to make a decision. And then the C, again, if we go to this, the C style, they want lots of supporting info. These tend to be more of your architect, accountant, attorney, actuary, surgeon, tend to be more professional. Engineers tend to be more professionals that are very meticulous, right? So they're going to want to see more facts, more support. They're more guided by avoiding risk, and they're going to be a little bit slower and more likely to follow rules, okay? So guys, this was Crash Course. We're right a little bit over 7 minutes in terms of the DISC, understanding that. Your D, your dominant or driver. Your I tends to be more your influencer. Your S, more of your support or steady person. And your C, more your conscientious and more analytical. And think about, as you go through your week, how you're interacting with people, how you're interacting with family, friends. There's lots of applications here, by the way, outside of sales. But specifically, when you're in your sales field here, when you're working here, or in another sales-related field, if someone else is watching this, think about how you're engaging with your prospects and your clients, and what areas do they tend to land in, and then how can you change some of your communication style to better accommodate them. Guys, as always, dream big and make it happen. Have a great day.